We reject all three categories of these ballots.
Your motion is to reject or dismiss the challenges in this category in front of you?
Correct, yep.
I'm not going to second that, mostly because I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it.
Seriously? Bucks County Board of Commissioners Chair Diane Ellis Marseglia said today, November 18th, that her comments about violating the Pennsylvania Supreme Court were taken out of context after they set off a national backlash against the county's election board. Now, Ellis Marseglia, a Democrat, blamed a misinterpretation of an inartfully worded statement on her part. I apologize for all the upset and confusion it caused. You're the chairman of a board of elections and you're in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You don't realize that your words will be scrutinized. So you say such nonsense. Well, what do you think people are going to believe when you spew that garbage? Now, funny enough, apparently the Washington Examiner has reported that Democratic Senator Bob Casey endorsed Democratic Bucks County Commissioner Diane Ellis Marseglia last year during her campaign for this office position, before she and other Democratic commissioners in the state voted to count the disqualified mail-in ballots. And the nonsense going on in Bucks County benefits who exactly? Bob Casey. The state Supreme Court ruled ahead of the November 5th election that mail-in ballots that do not include formally required signatures or dates should not be counted for the official tally of votes in the state. In other words, voters' failure to follow basic, simple instructions for the lazy mail-in ballot invalidate their vote by their own inaction. Democratic-led election boards, however, including in Philadelphia, Bucks County, Montgomery County, and Center County, violated the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's ruling and voted to include these ballots in the recount, in clear violation of the law. Why have sheriffs or state troopers not shown up to arrest these people for their criminal acts? One has to wonder. Now, Ellis Marseglia was quite clear and emphatic that she intended to break the Commonwealth's election law.
We all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it.
As she said in the video, people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention. There's nothing more important than counting votes. Really? So you're going to violate the law so it gives an outcome that you want to overturn legitimate ballots of the other millions of voters in Pennsylvania. Who are you, Ellis Marseglia, to deign to do such action? Now, in a shocking statement from Harrisburg today, Governor Josh Shapiro, who as Attorney General ignored Pennsylvania election laws in 2020, said the following in a stunning rebuke of Ellis Marseglia. Any insinuation that our laws can be ignored or do not matter is irresponsible and does damage to the faith in our electoral process. It is critical for counties and officials in both parties to respect it with both their rhetoric and their actions. Folks, even the Washington Post editorial board is castigating Democrats over their election denial and election officials' manipulation of results in Pennsylvania, purported manipulation. This is from the Washington Post. Before the November 5th election, Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that provisional ballots must be signed in two required places and that mail-in votes must be dated. Now, as a judge of elections, I can confirm that you must sign the provisional ballot in two spaces or it's invalid. I tell every voter that fills it out, and I had 80 of them in this election, how to do it. Yet elected Democratic officials in Philadelphia and three other counties, Bucks, Center, and Montgomery, voted this week to defy those requirements and other court decisions at the request of lawyers for Democratic Senator Bob Casey. That's what the Washington Post had to say. Now, these Democrats' decisions will almost certainly be overturned on appeal, but the mere attempt to defy judicial rulings is corrosive to democracy and invites similar behavior in future elections. Now, if only the Washington Post was this concerned about 2020, when the state itself violated election law. Now, AWOL Bob, as some of us affectionately call Casey, the man we only hear from every 6 years, is quite vociferous now that we tossed the leech out on his ear. This is what he had to say. When Pennsylvanians take the time to cast a legal vote, often waiting in long lines and taking time away from their work and family, they deserve to have their vote counted, whether it is the first ballot counted or the last. Well, I would agree. If people stand in line, they should have their ballot counted. Only Bob Casey. We're not talking about standing in line. These are mailed-in ballots, you goober. Good Lord. He makes that statement. He's so disconnected from reality. We're talking about mail-in ballots. Now, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has reiterated its stance today, Monday, November 18th, with an additional ruling, a 4-3 ruling, instructing against the inclusion of undated mail-in ballots, which the Bucks County officials said Monday brought clarity. Really? After placing herself in legal jeopardy with her idiotic comments, Bucks County Board of Commissioners Chair Diane Ellis Marseglia was quick to respond to the court's newest ruling upholding the law. This is exactly what I was hoping for the court to weigh in and give us clarity. We were under a stay, and now we have full clarity. No, you had full clarity weeks ago. You chose to ignore the law and violate law openly, and therefore should be charged with a crime. Stop lying and resign from office. And there you have it, folks. What say you? Election deniers, the Democrats, all over Pennsylvania. For shame, for shame. Cheers.